Hi folks, today I'm in downtown Boston, so I thought I'd give you just maybe a few quick snapshots about some things I see today, and I'll share my thoughts on Boston and city life. So I actually have a great view here. I'll try to show it to you. We've got a street market down here. This farmer's market is actually, I think it's open every weekend. I've been here in the middle of winter and it's open. Lots of fresh fruits and vegetables. It's really busy. They're open for 2 days, so that's pretty cool. Over there, you can see the North End. Great Italian district. Awesome restaurants over there. I love coming there. And in fact, I'm on my way to Modern Pastry to have some cannolis. Over on this side, it's a little hard to see, and we can't actually see all of it, but these are some very old buildings that they've been here for over 200 years, and some of the oldest bars and restaurants in the country are over there, so it's pretty cool. I always enjoy coming here, seeing some new things. It's a busy place, lots of life. So let's see what we can see today, and maybe tonight we'll talk about it.
One of the things that's cool about Boston is that it's right on the coast here, so you have these great little marinas and things, ships everywhere, all kinds of little sailing boats, fishing boats. There's ferries to go to some of the islands. So I'm walking on my way to Modern Pastry, and this is this is actually pretty nice. You see the bike path over there. This location actually has quite a bit of parking. That's a big deal. As you can see, it costs $23 a day. Here's electric bikes. Clearly, this is not a billion-dollar idea. This is this is an interesting thing to me to see the ebb and flow of electric bikes and scooters and how people value them. So now I'm up on Hanover Street. This is a really good street. There are a lot of great restaurants here, just fantastic. So we'll walk down here to Modern Pastry. Now, this really is one of the things about city life that's pretty amazing. You can just find specialty, unique foods almost anywhere, or of almost any kind you want. You can't find this in the country where you can actually walk somewhere like this and find something that's just amazing. So I just walked past Carmelina's, another great restaurant, and right here's Modern Pastry. Their competition is across the street. It's called Mike's, and I've decided that Modern is the place to be. I'll stop recording because they probably wouldn't appreciate it. So here I am. I stopped at a little park to eat the cannoli. These things are fantastic. I just absolutely love them. They're pretty big. I've had cannolis in other parts of the country, and they just don't hold a candle to this. So really close to here, to where the hotel is Fennel Hall and Quincy Market. And this is a really happening place. Even in the middle of winter, people are here. All kinds of shops and restaurants that are inside, and since it's summer, we're outside. There's a little car show here. Definitely a lively scene, especially this weekend. It's a very busy time in the city here. People everywhere, even though this morning is fairly calm. So here's a walk, and I'm actually going past the Cheers bar from Cheers. It's not the real one, but it's kind of set up like it. Interesting things to see, in a lot of in the country, you have a different kind of environment. We have nature in the country. We don't actually have this kind of city environment where we have variety that people made. In the country, you have variety that nature makes, and nature, decides where a tree grows. Here, people decide all these things. And, there's benefits to both. There really are. If you're in the city, it's nice to have a place like this where there's shops and restaurants and there's trees, and you kind of get a small taste of nature, but you're not really in nature. In the country, however, you're in nature. You really live as part of it. Possible, even though even though you're in a large city, to create beautiful spaces like this that really take advantage of nature and the things that nature does. And, people have to do this. And it's actually not that different on our little farm because we also, because it's pretty bare right now, we have to decide where plants are going to grow and what we're going to plant and, how we're going to maintain it and things like that. This is a really neat part of Boston. There's a couple of ferries over there where you can get on a ferry to go to one of the islands. So here is Paul Revere's house. This is actually his house. It's been well maintained. I believe that the north end initially was mostly timber frame houses like this one. The house is the gray one there. There's a museum here. I didn't actually go in, but it's pretty cool. And later on, all these brick buildings were built. And they've been here for hundreds of years, and preserving that history is a really, really cool thing. It's something that the country does in a different way. The natural history is maintained, but the history of people and what they've done there often disappears under nature's heavy thumb. So you see the stripe in the sidewalk here. This is actually part of the Freedom Trail. I didn't walk all of it this time. I've done it before, but I walked parts of it just to see it again, see some of the highlights. There's a church here. The Irish were Catholic, of course, so they built a lot of Catholic churches on this part of the city. So I wanted to give you an idea. I don't know, it depends where you're from as to what you think of some of these. Here's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath place, no pets, $2,900 a month. Most of these are on the north end, right where I'm walking through. They're $3,200 a month, $2,800 a month. We have a 3-bedroom house, and it costs us a lot less than that. So having that kind of a cost of living is kind of challenging. If you think about the cost of living in a city like this, it's definitely presents some challenges, and you just have to have different priorities and different expectations if that's where you're going to be. City life can be really rich, but I think the country life can be just as rich in a different way. Connecting with nature is such an important thing, especially when it comes to children. And I think that's one of the things that's really important to Saving Miller. It was important to me to be able to raise a family in a place where we can connect to nature. And, there's trees here, but there's just a lot of concrete and brick. And they're kind of nice, but it's just not really a natural environment. And there's a number of studies, and I'll put a link to the study in the description of the video so you can look it up. But there's definitely a difference between children who grow up in a built environment like this, it's fairly sterile, and children who have access to the dirt and the flowers and the leaves and the sticks and the water and all of that nature provides. So, like this fountain, every child is going to want to get in it, and then here we have this sign: waiting is prohibited. And that's kind of unfortunate. It's reasonable in the city. It's probably a good idea to stay out of there, but that's one of the huge differences. You're in a place where there's so many people, and it's just not safe to taste everything like a small child wants to do. So it kind of challenges their development. The previous church was not Old North Church. This was Old North Church. And then up the street is Copes Hill. There's a big cemetery there. I didn't go in this one, but it's pretty cool. Here's another view of the river. And you see in the distance there, it's a little hard to make out, but there's 3 masts, and that is the USS Constitution. It's a great ship to tour. It's a wooden-hulled ship, a warship, and it's been very well preserved over many years. Here you can see TD Garden over there, where the Celtics and the Bruins play, and the new bridge there. This is the old bridge. It's really beautiful, all the little sailing yachts and the fishing boats. So I'm on my way up to Bunker Hill here, And Charlestown is kind of a unique little place. It could really be a village or a small city in almost any part of America. It's not that different. But the costs that you saw for apartments were not up here. This is a place that has become completely inaccessible to most people. So it's a very exclusive community, and they keep it that way just through the costs. I thought this was pretty cool. Here by Bunker Hill, they actually have gas street lamps. And there you can see the monument at the very top, peeking out of the top of the tree. This monument is built out of granite. It is huge. Big 8-foot granite blocks and then granite all around it. It's one of the oldest ones, and it actually influenced the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C. There's a statue there. I think that's William Prescott. I can't remember exactly, but you can go up inside this monument. I would highly recommend it, but it can be a little bit claustrophobic, and it's a lot of work. It's really tall. There's a circular stairs that goes up through the middle of it. So it's a very impressive thing. I would highly recommend visiting this if you get a chance to. Also, one of the things that, the country doesn't really have. The city often has monuments and statues for people who did something, unique or impressive, or some historical event like here where they were defending this place from the British. This is one of the things that I certainly don't miss about city life. I have lived in the center of a large city, and traveling on the bus and on the light rail or subway is efficient, but it's not great. It really is not great. It's kind of a nuisance, really. Here you can see some of the downtown, the financial district. This is over on the other side of Quincy Market. Boston has a lot of narrow streets, and this is one of the interesting things about Boston. There's a Chipotle in that old brick building. Kind of a shame, if you ask me. We could probably do better than Chipotle. But, hey, that's what's there. And then beside it, you have all these really tall buildings that are for financial institutions and things like that. The city really packs a lot into a very small area. Here's Union Oyster House. This is all within walking distance in one day. This is one of my favorite places. Every time I come to Boston, I try to come here and I sit down and have some oysters.
There's a festival going on today, so the city is packed with people. There's tourists, there's locals out, a lot going on. The farmers market here is wrapping up. So it's very busy, and it's an interesting thing. There's a lot going on, there's a lot of good food, and it's pretty cool. Kind of a nice energy. A lot of families are out, but at the end of the day, I really do miss the farm, and it would just be nice to have my own quiet spot to lay down my head and rest at the end of the day, where there's not people running around everywhere. The food is amazing. I ate a lot of delicious food today, but it's really nice to just come here and enjoy the activity for a day, and know that pretty soon I'll be back on the farm and able to enjoy the peace and quiet there. It's probably a little difficult to see on the video, but there are a lot of people down there, just going everywhere, every which way. All the restaurants are packed. I had to go eat early so I could get into Carmelina's. Modern Pastry had a line out the door this afternoon to the end of the block, so it was packed. I wouldn't have gotten in there this afternoon. This morning it wasn't bad. I just walked right in. But this is the reality of city life. You kind of have to adjust your expectations to all the busyness and all the people that could be there, because there are a lot of people here. So till next week, Saving Miller out.